Hello again, guys. It is iFreeze700, and today we're going to be doing some homebrew. That's right. This one may actually have to be in two videos because these guys wrote a lot of stuff. So I'm going to treat it kind of like a lore video in this video, and then the next video we're going to actually look at all the stuff that they've written. But besides that, this is going to be more like a lore for the homebrew because this one's got a lot of shit. So we're going to kind of try to generalize it as much as we can. So the chapter, the homebrew chapter that we'll be talking about today is called the Astral Wardens. Now, the Astral Wardens is very unique. I actually like the concept of it. I just think that there's a lot of lore that they put into it that's going to actually require a lot of explaining for those who are, of course, new. And, of course, there's going to be a few things that I need to put in to kind of jog the memory of some people who are familiar with Warhammer. But basically what the Astral Wardens are is very unique, as what they are is essentially, after a big bad massacre in 998 M41, the chapter is more or less formed from a company of Sisters of Battle from the Order of Our Martyred Lady. Were wiped out to damn near one person, and that one person would survive, thanks to the aid of a Blood Angels company who also suffered some real bad casualties, but they weren't nearly as mangled up to just one man, just like the Order of the Martyred Lady. This is where the chapter more or less begins. This is very interesting. I like this a lot as far as origins goes, because it's unique. Here we have a Sisters of Battle who gets wiped out to just one fucking sister, and then it gets saved by a bunch of Blood Angels who suffer some bad casualties to the point that they respect the Sister of Battle, and they go, wow, we can't believe you held out on your own against this kind of bullshit. To the point that the guy who led them would be a sanguinary guard. And after this battle, what happens is the Inquisition pretty much doesn't like the idea of her being reassigned. Instead, they say, hey, it's kind of a waste for us to transport your ass into a different order of sisters, and it's kind of a waste. So how about we just simply disband you, because you're the only sole survivor? To which the Sanguinary Guard, who has a deep respect for the Sister of Battle after saving her bacon, says, no, the Inquisitors are wrong, fuck them, I'm going to join you, and leave the Blood Angels. This is very interesting because, of course, this means that he's an oath breaker, which is very, very bad for a Space Marine perspective. But an Inquisitor approaches them with 500 Astartes lined up saying, hey, you two can make a chapter right now. You two just got to work together. So he's got 500 Sisters of Battle with 500 Space Marine Astartes of various chapters and origins. To which, this is what the Astral Wardens are, is that they're actually a Space Marine Sisters of Battle hybrid chapter. Now, as far as organization goes, they're not exactly Codex compliant, at all. So what it's going to be is pretty much the Sisters of Battle are one force, and then the Space Marines is going to be another. So what that means is that this could be effectively over 1,000 people, because you got the 1,000 Space Marines and you got the extra. One of the fun things about this is that they do come from many Space Marine chapters. Like, we have a Librarius who's from the Blood Ravens. We have a guy who's from the Iron Hands. So we have quite a bit of diversity in this chapter as far as Space Marines are concerned. Now, with a chapter of varying Astarte origins, you're going to have a variety of different interpretations of battles and stuff like that. Like, if the Librarius guy was to go to war, he, being of Blood Raven origin, would probably be more concerned about protecting an artifact rather than saving a bunch of civilians. But one of the guys who is a Dark Angel may find it more interesting to pursue a personal vendetta that he has against the particular enemy they're facing rather than doing the main objective, which I find very unique. I like this idea of a diverse chapter that is more or less a mutt with the Sisters of Battle in tow, who are super zealous, super deeply religious, fighting just alongside them tooth and nail. This is great for those of you who like your diversity. They even put it here in the lore that they don't usually have a symbol that unifies the chapter. There is no like Drake symbol, nothing like that. Because the purpose of the chapter is to show that although you hail from different worlds and different chapters, you are no different than everyone around you. I'm not joking, that's pretty much word for word what it is. Of course, one of the interesting things about this chapter is that due to working closely with the Sisters of Battle, relationships tend to form. And of course, the chapter is pretty open as far as how relationships go, but they strictly teach that no matter what, duty comes first. You may have been deep dicking that sister late at night, but when there's a bunch of orcs descending on your position, you are to full on retreat. If she is wounded, you are not going to sacrifice yourself to save her. Hey, that just means that your dick's going a different sister tonight, boys. That's pretty much a very different way of handling it. Because after all, in the lore, the Space Marines don't actually have that sort of sexual preference. They don't have that relationship status like in their heads. The reason why I say this is because there's been many times in books where a Grey Knight or an Ultramarine or anybody really may be talking to a governor, maybe talking to a few ladies, maybe talking to just a few noblemen, and it's just off. They really don't know how to make exactly like small talk with normals, but even worse when it comes to sexual relations, because they can't really understand the concept because they are specifically psycho-indoctrinated to just be solely geared on war. Now, if this was Warhammer 30k, that's where we see Astartes having more diversity in their thought processes and the way that they handle things. Like, it used to be pretty much all Ultramarines would have some sort of governorship over a planet or a city. Now, they still do have some governing over cities and stuff, but it's not nearly as in-depth as it was back in 30k. Also, you know, you have the Salamanders who still keep somewhat relations with their families and stuff, but it's not exactly that deep. It's not that much of an attachment. So I seem to have a very difficult time swallowing that this Homebrew chapter would just openly have Space Marines deep dicking nuns who are also armed to the teeth with guns. I just have that a little bit of a difficult issue. I think that's more of just fan fiction gone wild, you know. I get it, we all gotta masturbate at times, and that is definitely an interesting idea, is how thick that muscle grows down in between the Astartes' legs, and just seeing it ram the nuns down the road, you know. I think that's definitely interesting. Some interesting note that we get about recruits is that when it comes to the training, there's nothing really particular about it for Space Marines and the Sisters of Battle. It's pretty much the same training. Heavy focus on marksmanship, heavy focus on versatility, so yeah, they kind of have that Ultramarine shtick. But the one unique thing about them is that their ending last trials that they have to go to one of the corrupted moons of Uranus. Gonna be visiting that ass tonight. And then they have to kill a demon and somehow not fall to chaos. So essentially what this means is that their chapter is very strictly based around faith, which is a very interesting thing, because that means that this could be one of the few Space Marine chapters that does view the Emperor as a god instead of as a man. That's, again, some extra good lore we can add to this. But again, this also makes a lot of sense considering the Sisters of Battle element. Because you see, the Sisters of the Martyred Lady are actually kind of like the Ultramarines of the Sisters of Battle. They focus heavily on versatility. That's like their whole shtick. That's their whole bread and butter is versatility. They can switch from one battle tactic to another. They can go from heavy flamers to immediately all sniper marksmen. Like, they can switch on the change of a dime. So the idea that the Space Marines and the Sisters of Battle are equally trained in this high dosage of versatility and marksmanship does make sense. After all, Sisters of Battle, they may be pretty damn tough ladies and they may be buff with the power armor, but again, they're not going to be that heavily suited for melee combat. So, hey, focus on marksmanship. That's a great thing, especially for the Marines too, as it gets them a little bit, although they're not Codex compliant, this does give them a little bit extra points with the Ultramarines. Some other issues that they point out is that due to the strangeness of this chapter, having women and men fighting together in a Space Marine chapter, and over 1,000 of them, because that's the way they pretty much described it, is that it's over 1,000. It's not actually 1,000 Space Marines. It's more like 1,000 Space Marines and a large contingent of Sisters of Battle. Is that many chapters actually don't like these guys due to how weird they are and how uncodex compliant they are. There's just a lot of issues that other chapters have for them to swallow. But on the flip side, they aren't that much hated because they do have decency. They are honorable, they are very faithful, and when they prove themselves in battle, it's pretty easy for other chapters to see why the Astral Wardens are nice. They're good to work with. So I do like that. I do like that they put that in the lore, that other chapters would be kind of like, ugh, I don't want to fucking get near that. Are you fucking kidding me? But on the flip side, if they do get forced to fight side by side with them, they go, hey, that turned out pretty fucking good. You know, I might actually turn my eye on the situation you're in the next time we get next to each other. And besides that, they also have an Iron Company, so that's pretty unique. Again, it's a mutt chapter. It's got a lot of shit mixed in it. You got Sisters of Battle. You got Space Marines of many, many origins. So as far as a homebrew goes, this is very, very unique. And I figured tomorrow or the day after, I'll do another video on them. But this time we're scrolling through literally their whole PowerPoint that they decided to put up. Besides that, I just pretty much posted the pictures that they have of the Space Marines and the Astral Wardens and painted stuff. And we're going to go more into it tomorrow morning, hopefully, if I'm not so tired, because I'll be working 13 hours. So this has been Freezer 700. As always, submit your own homebrew at my Discord. Check the links in the live stream and check the links in my profile description on my YouTube channel. Besides that, see you guys next time.